Welcome to Episode 4 of A Woman's Point of View. I got another guest with me today. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Who have I got with me today?
Hi, my name is Eron.
How we usually do this is we do quick fire questions just to get a bit to know about you, and then we'll dive into kind of your story and everything like that as well. Before we get into that, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel so we can grow the channel as much as possible and get as many women as we can on the channel and hear about their stories. Right, you ready for this? Quick fire.
Okay.
All right. So, gym, AM or PM sessions?
AM, definitely.
What's your go-to gym song at the moment? You can sing it as well if you want.
Anything really by 50 Cent. You know I like my Hustler's Ambition. That's my favourite.
Cool. What's your favourite gym?
A City Hustle gym.
If you said anything apart from that, we would have to cut that out. It's mine too, by the way. City Hustle's my favourite gym as well. Upper or lower body?
Lower body.
Lower body. Cool. Your favourite post-workout meal? Or snack?
I love my health bay treats, but also I love a bit of mincemeat and rice. Don't ask me why, I just really like it.
Can't go wrong. What is your... So, before that actually, nights in or nights out?
Nights in.
Your favourite and least favourite exercise in the gym? What's your favourite? Let's start with your
Favourite, I'd say, is deadlifts. Least favourite, anything with my biceps. Bicep curls, hammer curls, anything like that.
So before we get into a bit more about you, let's hear about kind of your upbringing, where you're from. Yeah, tell us a bit more about Eron. Who's Eron?
So I'm 26 years old. My upbringing, I'm an only child. I was born in Loughton in Essex and always lived with mum and dad. Upbringing, I went to a boarding school. It's very strict. I've always had a lot of, had been growing up with good manners and, always had to stand up in class when someone walks in, and it was really strict. And I feel like as I've got older, I've kind of taken that in my life, and I feel like I'm respectable and I respect other people, which has been really nice. Upbringing was a little difficult because I was bullied really badly at school. I'd say that it was my most difficult time of my life. I lost a lot of friends. I lost initially a lot. I was bullied because I was a bit chubby. I've always, liked food, and I just, didn't really have any strict diet plan, obviously, when I was younger, and I never ever liked exercise. So it's really weird that I've grown up loving it. But yeah, I know we're going to talk more about the bullying anyway. But as I've got older, I have sort of used how people treated me at school as ammunition to kind of start my businesses from there. But otherwise, I have really loving parents. Dad's always been very hard on me as a person. I think if he wasn't, then the world would have been hard on me. Sometimes you just need that person to be you should be doing this, or this is wrong, this is right. Sometimes you need that logical guidance that you get from a father rather than the kind of loving and nurturing aspects you get from a mother.
Cool. So let's pick on a few points in there. So first of all, your businesses. What business do you have? We're going to touch on more on that later on in the podcast, but yeah, talk us briefly about the businesses that you do own. So
I own City Hustle Gym. I started that 4 years ago. That was really during COVID. So it was a bit of a weird time to start my business. But then I also, later down the line, also during COVID, I created Health Bay, which is protein snacks business. So yeah, they're I live and breathe both of the businesses right now.
For those that don't know, if you've got me on Instagram, I don't even need to say this. Obviously, I PT at City Hustle Gym, been there since, I think, that the second month you opened, maybe?
Yeah,
4 years ago?
the September 2020, I think.
Yeah, so let's say the start. I've been there since the start. If you're coming from YouTube, obviously you won't know that. I'm going to put the City Hustle link in the description below anyway. But yeah, so we've known each other for 4 years now. So I see everything you do on a day to day. So I can't wait to kind of dive into all of that. Again, another point I wanted to touch on as well was the bullying. So you said that start. What age did that kind of start at? Would you say?
Around sort of 12, 13 years old, bullying
Okay.
started. It was initially, I was bullied for being overweight. And then, you know, I decided to lose a lot of weight, and I think I took it to the extreme. I ended up being 5 stone. I was almost admitted into hospital, and I developed a lot of health problems from being that severely underweight. So it was a really scary time of my life. And it was a time where I didn't have any support around me. I mean, mum and dad were supportive, but I lost all of my friendship group completely through the bullying.
So did your friends turn into bullying as well, or was it kind of you kind of separated yourself away from them?
I think there was both aspects. So I
Okay.
kind of secluded myself because it was like I couldn't take part in sports at school because I was too underweight. The school
Oh,
stopped me
really?
from exercising. They made me see counsellors at school because they wanted to, you know, show that they were supporting me from you know, educational perspective. Also, I think there were groups of girls that would stick together, and because I kind of, you know, I didn't go to a lot of the social events. I didn't want to, you know, go to like a birthday dinner and stuff because I felt really insecure about the way that I looked. So I did seclude myself for a while, and the bullying did eventually get worse. Even when I was recovering from the eating disorder, something else would start and something else. And I think girls get so bitchy, and it will stem from one thing, and it just goes on.
Did you go to some context? Did you go to all girls school?
No,
Okay,
I
okay,
went to private school, and
okay.
then I eventually went to a boarding school because I couldn't stand it anymore, and I needed to be away from everyone. And that was actually it's probably not the best thing to talk about on a podcast, but it got to the stage where I was getting death threats from these girls at school. I mean, absolutely disgusting things that they would say to me. I wouldn't even want to say them on camera. And then they would follow me around my local high street. I couldn't go out of my house without being offered out for a fight. One day, I hit the girl that bullied me, the main girl. I punched her in the face, and I got expelled from school. And I wasn't allowed back unless I apologised, and I never apologised.
You was like, nah,
No,
nah,
because I had to stand my ground, and for years
100%.
and years, I took so much stick from these girls over stupid things, really silly things. But I'd get food chucked at me in the school hall. I would, you know, as a 12, 13-year-old, you don't want to feel like you can't go outside your home.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, I was threatened all the time, and I just felt like I went into my shell, and then I didn't want to go out of the house.
yeah,
And I thought, and one day enough is enough.
yeah.
And I would never usually be pushed to that extent, but I think not having the support around me from any of my friends and losing a lot of people really impacted my life completely.
So how did life look like after that? So that incident's happened. Said you were expelled from school. So what did you do after? Because you would have been 14. So how did you like finish off that educational stuff? How did that?
So I was homeschooled for about a year and a bit. I think a lot of schools didn't want to take me on because in my local area, because they'd heard what happened, and I was obviously the bad person. So I was homeschooled for a year. I did all of my GCSEs early, and then I went to sixth form at a boarding school when I was 15, actually.
Okay.
So I stayed there for 2 years. So I did everything early, GCSEs and
How about
A-levels
say you would
early.
have done that would have been a year earlier because you finished at 16. Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to fast track my studies. I couldn't stand being homeschooled. It was so lonely. It was, I was literally taken away from every single person, and I was at home 24/7, and I think it
Yeah.
drove me mad.
Yeah. I can imagine, especially when you're at that age, you just want to go out and play.
Yeah.
And he also said to me, like, obviously before the podcast, that your fitness journey started at, was it 13 or 15? You said,
Yeah, about 13, because obviously I was bullied for being overweight. And then I started going to I'm a member of David Lloyd, and they used to do like a teen gym. So I
okay.
used to do you just do little bits and bobs in there. But I got into the extreme. I was looking on Instagram, any exercise that would help me lose weight. I mean, I would not eat any foods that people would consider bad. No sweets, no sugar, no chocolate, absolutely nothing. My mum would like give me snacks to take to school, and I would take them and I would chuck them in the bin. I would pretend that I was eating when I wasn't, and I would chuck them away all the time. Even with lunch, I would take my sandwich or whatever and I would eat it in the toilets, but I wouldn't actually eat it. I would just take it so it looks like I've taken a sandwich, but I wouldn't eat it.
Did you speak out at the time
No,
about that at that age?
Because I didn't think there was a problem, because I didn't see that in myself, because I had body dysmorphia. I was still seeing myself as fat, even though I was 5-6 stone. I was still seeing myself as fat.
When would you say you I would say you bounced out of that mindset? What age would you say that was then? Or you kind of like, you felt confident in yourself, you didn't care what other people think? When would you say you kind of got to that age?
So I'd say I started at about 8 stone and I went down to 5 stone. But that took me about a year.
Okay.
So I'd say by the age of 14, I'd say it got to the point where I was being threatened to be hospitalised. And my dad, I remember one pivotal moment in that was when my dad said to me, you either change this right now, otherwise you're being sent to that hospital and no one's going to see you for at least 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't let this eating disorder beat me. I can't do that, because my life is so much more worth living than not eating, and I knew it was affecting my health inside. My hair was brittle, I had bad acne, I developed endometriosis. There were certain pivotal points that made me think I can't let this happen anymore. So I'd say 14, 15, I started to slowly eat a little bit more. It took a long time, because I had to get out of the mindset of this food is not bad. Health is about balance. It's about eating all different types of foods. And it just took me a really long time to fully start to introduce little things to my diet again. So
for people that don't know, you've been to a few powerlifting competitions. So at what age did the powerlifting start then? So this is around 15. How did you go from that to going into powerlifting?
So I always really loved the gym, obviously, as a means, because I used, during the eating disorder, I used the gym as a means of punishment for what I was eating. And then as I started to recover, I was using it to gain strength. Everyone wants that toned look, So I then went to university after sixth form, and I went to Loughborough, very sporty uni. I didn't study sports, but I don't know, it was really weird. We had this thing called the Athletic Union. So we used to, any sort of sports, used to compete against other unis, whether it's football, tennis, anything. And I just thought, I really want to get into something that challenges me, something that would shape me into like kind of, I don't know, just like personal development. It would change my aspects of how I thought about going to the gym, just having a normal routine, but actually I wanted to compete. So I sort of saw this club at university, it was powerlifting, and I thought, I'm just going to go for the tryouts. I mean, I don't know how much I can lift. I'd never done a 1 rep max before. And I'm still very small, I'm only like 51 kilos. But because I was so small, they wanted me in the team because I was quite competitive, being small and being able to lift, a reasonable amount at the time compared to my body weight. And I did the powerlifting for, competed a couple of times, but I've been doing it for the last sort of five years or so.
For those people that don't know, what does a power competition look like, and how does your training look like to be able to become like a powerlifter?
So when I was at university, my training sessions, sometimes they were about 3 hours long. It was because it takes time to work up to 1 rep max. So powerlifting, you'd basically do 3 lifts. So squat, bench and deadlift, and you do them in that order. You have 3 attempts. at each, and you do them for as heavy as you can go, but you're actually weighed on the day, so you fall into weight classes. So I initially started as a 47 lifter, and now I'm a 52 lifter because 47 was just way too small for me, and I needed to put on a bit of weight to look more healthy anyway. So I compete against women of the same weight class. They're not necessarily my age. I'm a senior now, so it can be anything from 24 to 39. So some women who obviously have a lot more experience lifting.
Yeah. Okay, good. So it definitely takes like a lot of training, but at the same time, it's kind of helped you to. You said you use it as a punishment, but now it's a sense of it's something that you enjoy. Like when you go in the gym now, you just love like lifting weights, kind of thing.
Yeah.
How's it now? And how's your routine look now, actually?
So like I had a few, obviously lifting that heavy, I did have a few injuries. I nearly got to about 3 times body weight for my deadlift. And I had a few injuries. So I have 2 bulging discs in my back and arthritis in my left hip. I've taken a bit of time off competing like too aggressively. So I still do the powerlifting, but my training looks a lot more like I'd say power building, a split between a bit of bodybuilding, a bit of powerlifting, and actually just I think when you're competing, you get so used to being very regimental in a you have to hit this amount of weight for an RP7 or RP8, and I think I want to enjoy the gym again, and for the last year I've really focused on enjoying the gym, and as a form of kind of mental health and sort of release from any stress that I have at work. So my training is a little bit more mixed at the moment.
What have you had any bad experiences in the gym at all? Any bad experiences in the gym? What's your highlight? And also what's your highlight of being in the gym? Any bad experiences at all?
I wouldn't say really bad experiences. Obviously, there was a pivotal moment when I was competing that I knew I was getting injured. And I remember one day I did squats that were a bit too heavy for me. I sort of pushed myself too much and my hip just went. I think that was the worst moment I'd ever had because I literally I've spent about 5 years trying to rehab my hip. That was a really awful moment in the gym for me. I think there's a sense of like you want to hit all your goals and you want to achieve things in the gym, but then you need to know sometimes when enough is enough. And I think that comes with maturity and actually growing up and realizing, okay, if I'm not feeling it today, I'm not going to go 100%. I'm actually going to be kind to myself. Highlights in the gym. I've hit a lot of 1 rep maxes, which has been great. A lot of personal development there, but also I think going on to a little bit of my gym, like the best thing about me for the gym has been making friends. I honestly would never ever have met all the people I have, including you, including Zaba from your other podcast. I would never have met these people if it wasn't for being in the gym. And I think such like-minded people have really helped me grow as a person. And I'm really grateful to have met them.
We're gonna definitely touch on that as well, but I want to touch on that a bit now actually because we mentioned it. How is it as a woman owning your own gym? Like, how is that? How does that feel? And what made you actually get started into starting your own gym?
So it was really weird. So during lockdown, I had a boyfriend and I was selling gym equipment during lockdown. And then I thought, I have a supplier who, would provide me with equipment, quite cheap equipment. I was like, and the space become available, which was, I was very fortunate enough that myself and my dad, we basically owned this space. And I thought, I want to build a gym there. I don't know, I just want to, because of my love for fitness, I want to build a community, a space that other people can go for either to achieve their goals at the gym, certain body shapes, or even just to release their stress. Like, because the gym can mean different things for different people. And so I started that with my now ex-boyfriend, and it was really challenging because during lockdown we didn't have like the clientele, because where the gym is not really much footfall, but also no one could go to the gym.
Yeah.
So I really say, even though I've been open for 4 years, I've really been trading for 2 years. it got to the point where I had to buy out my ex-boyfriend in January this year, and then I became a female single business owner. And being a female owning a business I think is really difficult, because I think there's a little bit of lack of respect that you get as a female. You know, some people, even they would come up to you and say, I don't want to deal with Eron, I want to deal with Darnell, or I think it's just like, a lot of time I had people coming in saying to me, oh, well, you don't have a lot of members here, does it even make money? Or, I mean, even my dad used to come in and he used to say to me, well, your business model's all wrong. I just don't get it. I just don't think this is going to do well. And I think because I'm just one person trying to run a fairly big gym, there's a lack of support, and also there's a lack of respect, I think, as well, towards me as being a female. They want a male to deal with it.
So how do you actually deal with that? And the gym, we'll add in a clip of the gym, good sized gym, and even when I started there, you just had like one floor. Now you've got two floors. It's definitely, it's been good for me to even see you progress into just building and developing as a person, and also as like a gym owner as well. But yeah, so how do you actually deal with that? Because there's actually been scenarios like that when people have actually said that to me. It's like, you've got to talk to Eron. But yeah, how do you deal with that? How do you block out the outside noise and kind of just lock in? Because I guess it's hard, because obviously you've got City Hustle, you've got Health Bay, and you're training and doing your own thing. How do you balance all of that, like yourself?
So firstly, when people come in and they disrespect me, I say, well, if you don't want a membership, go somewhere else. Like, if you don't want to deal with me, because at the end of the day, you have to know your worth. And for me, it's taken me a long time to do that, and a long time to actually put my foot down. But you do have to be firm with people, because business is not, you know, it's sometimes not exciting. Sometimes it's really hard out there, and you have to be very firm. You have to know your worth. You have to definitely put boundaries in place with people, because at the end of the day, it's not always about friends. It's about making money, and actually it's having a business. But what was your other question?
So my question was, how you dealt with it? You answered that actually really well. That was the main question actually. And can't wait to touch on Health Bay a bit later as well. So kind of let's go back to can't wait to ask you a bit more about like your eating habits and stuff now. How are they now? So how did you go from being overweight, being bullied, then going from being underweight and under eating till now? How's eating now?
So now, because I had a few health issues during that time of having an eating disorder, I'm really badly allergic to dairy. So I can't have any dairy, like whether it's chocolate, butter, nothing. And I've had that since I was about 12 years old, so the last 14 years. And I have quite bad IBS to the extent where I can only eat certain foods. Certain foods meaning like no sauces, no onions, no garlic, nothing spicy. I had to have my gallbladder removed because I got gallstones during my eating disorder. So I had quite a few health issues that have impacted the way that I eat now. So a lot of my food is very plain. I'd say like plain chicken and rice, plain vegetables. Nothing is very exciting. I think people would look at my diet and think, oh my God, how do you eat that? But I also have vegan alternatives. So like, you know, I'd have soya milk or gluten-free oats and things. I think I have to eat things that don't upset my stomach or cause me bloating, because then it makes me feel awful for the whole day. So I have to be very strict still, but I'm strict in a different way. Before, I was strict with the amount of food that I was eating, not what I was eating. And now I'm stricter because I know I've got these health issues, but I find that, you know, I don't want to be unwell, so I have to eat certain food. But I eat enough food now. So I make sure I actually have about 6 meals a day, small meals, just to keep my metabolism steady, and just so that I don't feel hungry at certain times, or like, because some people, like, they overindulge in one meal, for dinner. They like won't eat for like the day and then have a massive dinner, and that is not good, to just eat all your calories all in one go. You know, it actually helps you to lose fat if you eat smaller meals but more often.
That's a good shout. And I guess that works for you. So it's like you found what works for you.
Yeah.
How do you find as well, like around your menstrual cycle, like training and stuff? How do you deal with that, or how does your training adapt with that? Yeah, talk to us a bit about that.
So a week before my menstrual cycle, I usually feel really tired, and because I already have injuries, I don't want to be more injured. And during your menstrual cycle, you are more susceptible to injuries and a bit more inflammation in your joints and stuff. So I do kind of taper it down a little bit a week before my period. Then during my period is sort of I train to a moderate level. I still hit heavy weights, but not to the extent where no PBs, nothing like that. And usually the week after my period is when I can get back to normal again. I think you've just got to know yourself. Actually,
100%.
it's really important that that's what works for me. And like you said, like something else might work for someone else. But it is really important to know your body, know when you need to take a little step back.
Nice. Perfect answer question, actually. We took to Instagram to ask some questions. So I got some questions here for you. So for those that don't know, me and Eron have been doing boxing together since
About a year.
about a year now.
Yeah.
Again, I added some clips of that. Very good on the pads now. So somebody actually asked, she has specific exercises, because you have like specific exercises that you do. This is someone that goes to the gym, to City Hustle Gym. They said, why did she start boxing with Darnell?
Yes, I know who asked this question.
Oh, you know who asked this question, yeah?
Yeah, because the way it was worded, I definitely have an idea of who
Okay.
asked this question. So actually, I don't really do any cardio. I only really do squat, bench, and deadlift, and then some accessory work. So actually, doing boxing, one was a way of letting out my anger. Basically, I always get upset if I get angry. I never ever get angry. So I needed a way to release my emotions, which was really good to do it on the pads. But also, as a means of a bit of cardio, a bit of core, and also because I'm so rigid in the way that I train, it's really good to have someone, a trainer, to keep you accountable and actually to do something different. You know, just something I've never done before, but something that I really now enjoy.
I guess like you said, yeah, it's definitely good to like let off steam, and it's something completely different.
Yeah.
And everyone that does kind of boxing maybe kind of just loves it, because it's just something different with the combos and everything like that as well. So
And it's very engaging.
really
as well,
good, yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah.
We have catch ups as well during our sessions as well. So someone said, name 3 exercises you would do outside your normal routine, and they said in brackets, make her do it. So I don't know if they're asking you to name 3 exercises you do outside your routine. What's 3 exercises you do outside your routine? I think that's what they meant by that question.
Okay, 3 exercises that I like doing outside of my routine.
Yeah.
I really like RDLs, funnily enough. I don't know why. I really get a good hamstring, like mind muscle connection.
Same.
I love doing triceps now, a good like tricep push down, and I would say a lat pull down. I love training back. I really feel like, again, the mind muscle connection with that. I just hate biceps.
No bicep exercises.
No.
So somebody asked, what did she do at 13 when she started her fitness? Touched on that, to be fair, during the podcast. Someone said, out of all the positive habits, which is the hardest for you to do, and how do you manage it?
Out of positive habits?
Yes, out of all the positive habits, which is the hardest for you to do, and how do you manage it?
I guess like a positive habit in terms of, you want to believe in yourself, right? That's a habit that you want to have. I think that's the hardest thing for me, is to believe in myself, because I've always doubted my abilities. So it does take me a lot to really sit back and think, okay, I've come this far.
Yeah.
You have to keep reminding yourself of that. And I think I also read a lot of like books about habits and things that help me to stay on track.
This is a question I kind of always end on, and I feel like today is like even more important based off of kind of what you said about your childhood, because I always ask, what would you give the 18-year-old Eron like advice? I feel like this question for you in particular is like a really good question. So if you could go back to when you was 18, after everything that's happened, what kind of advice would you give yourself? Or even like, let's change the question actually, the 13-year-old you, because that's kind of when all this kind of stuff was happening? If you could go back, what advice would you give yourself?
I would have said to 13-year-old Eron to stay strong, to not doubt yourself, and to not listen to all of that background noise. I'm disappointed at myself the way that I was when I was 13, but I was young, I was a kid, but I'm really disappointed that I let other people change the way that I was, and I wasn't true to myself. And if I could go back, I would have been the person that I wanted to be and not listen to everybody else.
Love that. Do you and just block out the outside noise?
Yeah.
Perfect. So that's part 1 that we've covered. It's really good points in there. As we go into part 2, make sure you stay tuned because we've actually got discount code, especially for you guys that tune into the podcast about Health Bay. So we're gonna particularly tap onto that. And again, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. So yeah, let's talk about Health Bay. So